Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bizarre world of real boxing motherfucking talk. I'm your host for about 15 seconds, Charles Farmer. So we don't have a lot of time. We need to jump into this. Welcome as always to John. What's up, John?
Hey, great to see you, Charles, after this effort. But as always, we showed guts and determination, and we are here. So I'm happy.
And then we have the irrepressible Frank Gordon. You can't see him, but that's a personal problem. But we still.
They call me Casper.
There are
the friendly ghost.
This is really an amazing fact that we are even having this right now. So it's gonna be wild. Might be a little bit bizarre. It's probably gonna be a lot shorter than what you guys are used to. So with that being said, we're still gonna bring you what we need to do. We're still gonna get it done. Y'all gonna say, how the hell? It's all about the information, baby, and the people and what you're working with. Anyway, with that being said, had a lot of boxing going on recently. You guys know, great weekend. A lot of things to look forward to. But let's get started right away. I'm going to throw this at John. John, talk to me about Devin Haney over Linares. What a hell of a fight. Great setup. A lot of questions being asked. Old versus new. Was this the opportunity for Devin Haney? Give me your thoughts.
Well, as you could tell by the way he fought, he really wanted a knockout. And apparently all the experts on social media say he can't punch. Linares said he can't punch. I'll take his, or it doesn't have any power. I should say can't punch. I'll take Linares' word over the so-called social media warriors. Maybe he doesn't have the big, powerful punch, but for about 8.5, 9 rounds, the kid looked like a superstar to me. I mean, he was fast, he was sharp, his jab was on point. He was beating the crap out of Linares. He might not have been hurting him where he's groaning or wobbling or whatever, but he was beating up a guy that's a 3-time champion, former 3-time champion, super fast himself, beat Luke Campbell, had Lomachenko down. I mean, come on. I just find some of the criticism ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, he got wobbled in the 10th for sure. Mm-hmm. He got wobbled in the 10th, in my view, because of the way he was fighting. If he had been fighting the way that he normally fights, which people don't want, he wanted to please the fans, so he was fighting more in the pocket, and he got clipped, and he was hurt bad. He denied it later, but you could see his legs. And then the 12th round, he was basically doing the old bear hug on Linares. Not smart, smart. A victory is a victory. But my only concern, Charles, real fast, is that I thought, like I said, everything was fine. But I think, in my view, probably because I don't like this when people do this, and maybe it's an act, maybe it's not, but I just thought there's an overconfidence going on there that bothered me. I didn't like how when Linares and him were talking, and he said, "Hey, man, you didn't even win a round." Come on, Devin. Yeah. You don't need to say that stuff. Yeah. I just don't like that. I thought, hey, be a good sport about it. You won, no doubt about it. Linares didn't say anything like, whatever. I'm all over the place, but the cards were closer than I thought. I thought he won easily 116 to 112, 117 to 111 is closer actually to what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. But he's 22 years old. He could, I just thought I saw something. I guess I didn't. I was seeing things, thought it was going to be Frank for a second. He could be growing into his man body, 22. I know I was stronger when I was 25 than I was 22. So overall, I just thought it was a very impressive performance by the young Devin Haney.
No doubt. Mr. Gordon, your thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at it this way, and you can split hairs however you want, but it's kind of like, I would say Linares got out-younged, for lack of a better way of putting it. That, Haney's a younger guy. He had enough skill to get the job done, and Linares just wasn't able to overcome that, because the Linares we saw against Lomachenko and against other people was a little bit quicker, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster. But in this case, he wasn't. He wasn't necessarily the smaller guy in the ring, but he wasn't the bigger guy either. And so it was a little more difficult for him to get off and do what he wanted to do. And he always looked like he was second. I'm not all, but most look like you. So being in that situation, and with Haney being younger, quicker, stronger, faster, it was kind of tough for him to overcome. Now I say that, and then when we get to the next part, then the segue, I know I should be doing that your show, not mine. But when we get to the segue later, I'll refute that with something else. But yeah, I think that I think that being the younger guy in a situation made the difference. And not to say that Linares is old and washed up or anything like that, but it's just Haney's on the rise and Linares isn't.
No doubt. What was interesting, I think, for me is you had old versus young, if you will, older versus younger. Uh, Devin Haney is a up and coming talent. The factor that he did it at 135 and he's this close, he's been saying a lot. He and his dad have been talking a lot about where they want to go. I don't have a problem with that. I do agree with John when he mentioned about, they're just kind of like really talking tough, maybe a little bit too tough, but you know how to put your money where your mouth is very soon. And with that being said, I'm not the segue master as Frank Gordon is, but I'm gonna try. Here's a segue for you guys as we move forward. What's next, or what do we really want to see next for Devin Haney? Because you think about the opportunities, he can move up to 140, do some things there, but at 135, we still look at it. The one fight everybody's been talking about is Teofimo Lopez, right? You do that, that's all 4 belts coming together, right? On that era. Also, you talk about Ryan Garcia, also Vasily Lomachenko, things like that. But if you're Devin Haney, you're his dad, you've been running your mouth, you've been talking about the big fights, we say those super fights. What do you want to see? What do you want to do next? Start with you, John.
See, I would be more cautious than the dad is. I wouldn't be talking like that. I'd be like, what's the hurry? Why are we in such a big hurry? My boy is 22. He's 26-0. Teofimo, this might be his last fight at 135. Devin Haney looked very comfortable at 135. So even though Teofimo said, I guess, that he wants to fight Devin Haney, so maybe he'd stay at that weight for one more fight. That's a tough fight so if I'm his dad and I'm saying, okay, we're going to fight Teofimo Lopez next, man, that's tough because Teofimo is stronger, bigger, quick, not maybe as quick as Devin Haney, but sharp and young. So that's a tall order to be able to beat. I don't particularly like the matchup. I think Teofimo would clip him and probably stop him if he could do what Linares did. Now, the other option is maybe he could fight Gervonta Davis at 135. Yeah. That's another one. But you better keep your chin tucked there, Mr. Haney. As we know, he might get decapitated by Tank. So nobody talks about Boots. I always talk about Boots, but he's more between 135 and 40. And then Ryan Garcia, he's a mystery man to me because he's out with some mental issues. I guess nobody knows exactly what that means. Nobody will say what it is. No one will say he's depressed. No one will say maybe he's having drug issues. That was the rumors before. It's all very closed up and concealed. He did make a derogatory comment about the Haney-Linares fight. He did say that he'd have knocked out Haney if he had got him hurt, and Haney did not like that very much. And Haney had been very cool about what's going on with Garcia, and he said, I'm not going to put a man down who's going through some problems. I went, oh, that's classy. The minute Haney said that, he said, he's just a big coward. I don't know what he's talking about, So he's got so many options, Charles. I tell you, if it was me, I'd watch it. I'd take my time. I'd wonder why we're hurrying this up so much. But if the Teofimo Lopez fight is available, that would be tough to turn it down. That would be the thing, because he would give Lopez a hell of a fight and might even beat him just because he's so fast, as we saw. And that jab, he's got a great jab for a 22-year-old kid. So I'm keeping a few things in my mind. If I'm the dad, I'm thinking, well, maybe Davis, maybe Lopez, but Garcia I'm sure he wants Garcia more than anybody because, they're rivals from years ago.
Mhm.
But I would vacillate a little bit and kind of see what Lopez does here on the 19th. He should win easy against the Aussie and then go from there. But he's got all kinds of options open to him.
No doubt. Mr. Gordon, your rebuttal, please.
Well, I'm looking at it as the question is, does he move up? Does he have to? Does he want to take care of the division first, or does he want to go after the pot of gold? Because you're talking about, unifying the belts. Well, guess what? This just happened week before. A guy just a weight class below unified the belt. That's Taylor. Now, to me, it seems to be that 5-pound gap isn't that big for either one of them. So maybe one wants to move up. I don't think Haney wants to move down. But if Taylor's like, I've cleaned out this division, everything's done, let's move up and get a belt here. Because we know the money is moving forward from 135 to 140 to 147, blah, 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 blah. So if I'm looking at Josh Taylor and being as forward thinking as it looks like he was after that fight, he might be looking at moving up, and Haney might be a good match. So that's the one I see. I know that's not the one that convention was, but that's the one I see. That you move up to something else, you're Josh Taylor. As you mentioned, I don't think it's time for Haney to move up yet. He has work to do there. But if the people that he can fight are all looking at going ahead and moving up, why not go after Josh Taylor? I think that would be a nice thing. And we start getting that moving back and forth, and John shaking his head. Okay, fine. Since I can't shake my head, you can't see me. I can see you. You don't want to see what I'm doing off screen right now, John. No,
I don't want, Frank, I don't want to know what you're doing. Yeah. I don't want to know what you're doing, so we'll leave it at that.
I don't have pants on right now. So, but seriously, there are so many options available for these guys in these weight classes that there's no telling what they. So, if Dad's calling people out, there should be a good fight made somewhere. Whether someone moves up or someone stays in the same place, there's a good fight.
No doubt. And I agree with that 100%. I do like the factor about, I know 140 is a possibility, but if you have an opportunity to do what you can do at 135 right now, I mean, why not jump at it? The Josh Taylor thing, yeah, okay, that's all well and good, but like you said, you have work to do. And let's say, for instance, you take on Lopez and he loses. Talking about Haney, that is. So what? It's not a death sentence. You're 22 years old. And that way, we always refer back to Canelo as to what Canelo did with Mayweather. You lose, get back on the horse. You got a long way to go, a long way to fight. But my thing is this, if you move to 140, it's hard to come back down to 135. Not saying right. Being young, you can do that, sure. But it's like, if I go up here, everybody else is going to be coming sooner or later. Why not enjoy and feast where you're at right now and let your body grow naturally instead of rushing because you're worrying about money? Because at 135, you still can fight for 4 belts. I mean, what? I guess one of the so-called up-and-coming dudes too. You beat Lopez, man, they can't tell you anything then. If he beats Lopez, I mean, he almost is the king at 135. He can dictate what he wants to do. And that includes Tank Davis at 135, 140. So however they want to do it, slow, fast, but I wouldn't be in a rush to move up, but that's just me. But as our time continues to move forward, we got to make it happen. So with all that being said, let's move forward to another fight real quick. We had to go back to the gentleman that is like everybody else. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Nonito Donaire made things happen at 38 years old, coming off making some things happen. John, help me with the name. Nordine.
It's called Nordine.
Nordine.
He's from France.
Right. Nordine O, aka the Monster. Okay. So with that being said, coming into this fight, we knew that
let's call him the former champion, make it easy.
No doubt. But we knew coming into this fight that Donaire, we didn't know which Donaire we was gonna see. It's kind of like watching Pacquiao. Is he ready? Is he not? What's happened the last couple of times he fought, he didn't look like the same guy. But I tell you what, I'm not even going. I've kind of spoiled the surprise a little bit, but just give me your thoughts, John, on the performance of Nonito Donaire.
He was an underdog going into the fight. Most of the, again, so-called experts were picking the Frenchman, the champion, to win. Near 38 years old, fought the monster, gave the monster hell, got beat, got knocked down, almost debatably counted out later in the fight, but still he broke part of his eye and lobe and stuff and looked good. But that was a while ago. So again, we didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know. I was pulling for him just because he's one of the best guys in the sport from what I've seen and talked to him a few times. Just a super nice, very gracious guy. So I was secretly kind of pulling for him, kind of like Chocolatito, kind of that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He looked really good. I mean, it's like in a way, he looked good against Inoue too, the young gun, the monster. It's like he's revitalized, and I can't figure it out in a way. Some guys, they can keep doing this at an older age. I mean, he's the oldest fighter ever in the history of the bantamweight division to win the title again, 38 years old. That's quite an achievement. He's won 5 titles now. That's quite an achievement. He's basically been in Pacquiao's shadow off and on for years, but the guy is a hell of a fighter. So, that's the thing that I wrote in my article was that I don't care how old you are, you're not going to lose your power, I don't think. And he, like a baseball player too, he might get old, lose his reflexes, but he still blasts one every now and then, Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. He blasted him. He hit him with that left hook, and that was it. You could tell the minute he started touching him with some of those shots, Frenchman was like, "Oh man, I never been hit like this." I mean, 117 pounds with that kind of power. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just was totally, completely impressed by Donaire and his whole mindset. His whole thing about the old age is a number thing. Yeah, we hear that, but I'm still learning. I'm still getting better. It's like, man, that's really impressive. So you got to give it to Donaire. That was a great achievement.
Frank, this is another tale of redemption. We've seen it a couple of times the last year and a half or so. So give me your thoughts about the performance of Nonito Donaire.
Well, first of all, I was afraid that he'd come to the party once too often. That it was like, as John said, it's a guy that we love to see. We don't get to see enough of him. He has fought in the shadow of Pacquiao pretty much his entire career. And, when he seemed like this is a good fighter. We don't see the lower weights, and we don't see people from other countries as well that often. So I thought, well, okay, we finally get a chance to see him. After, in a way, you're like, well, okay, you probably should have maybe hung it up after. And then we get the layoff. And especially after the layoff, you're thinking, what are you coming back for? Bourdin is a good fighter and had the belt, and it's not like he was given the belt. He's done a lot to stay on top. So you're looking at Donaire thinking, man, just don't embarrass yourself. Go out with some class, don't get slugged out to make it look good. But, I was thinking, hopefully, if we don't get a TKO by the 9th, we're good. Then he comes out. You're like, who is this guy? He looked like he was 24, not 38. Mm-hmm. And as John said, with the power he was throwing with and the quickness, I don't think that the former champion was prepared for that. Why he wouldn't be, since you've been able to watch film on this guy for the last 15, 20 years. But I don't think he was prepared for the guy that he was in the ring with. And it's not like it was a dominant performance. It was just a very solid. And then when he got to the point, it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to touch him up a little bit and take him out, or at least knock him down a little bit. And even the first knockdown, it's like, I'm not hurt. I'm a little confused, but I'm not hurt. And then he got hurt. But he still looked like he was going to be able to recover. Because you're thinking, okay, there's a lot of time left in the round. Is he going, oh, he's okay. He took a couple of bounce steps and, but he didn't wobble. And then Donaire comes on and says, all right, I'm going to show you guys what it's about. And boom, 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 boom. It was over. And it's funny because it should have been shocking, but it wasn't. It's like, this is a guy we've seen before. Yet that pour was, 4, 6, 8 years ago. I was amazed. He did a fantastic job, and he did it in a Donaire fashion. So can he continue? He fights like that? Yeah. Does he want to Inoue again? I don't know about that, but I don't know that anyone else does. I think he's going to go back. I think that this is the step for him to go back after. That's the one thing that just hearing him talk after the fight, it's like, I want that guy again. He didn't come out and call him out. That's the one that's missing. So who knows?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the one thing that really was very interesting to me is the fact that Donaire made a statement, and one of the statements he made was, I told myself, I would always wait. I was a little nervous about it because he was older now and didn't want to go after the win. And he said, when I saw that the monster was in trouble, I said, let's go for it. I think I can finish him. And that's just the spirit of knowing himself and knowing what he needed to do. And I like that in him, because most times you're hesitant because I don't want to put myself out there, because what if I get knocked out? Is that the end of my career? But and maybe he's going to have to do this on a fight by fight basis to feel what style he needs to fight or how far he wants to go. But I thought it was one of his top-notch performances that will not do nothing else but enhance his legacy. I think this is really major for him for his legacy concern. So hell, if he never wins another fight, you can always go back and go. I mean, the same way we're looking at Pacquiao right now. You're always going to look at Pacquiao now and go, you remember that time he beat the hell out of Keith Thurman for a while before he did what he did to make sure he could survive? But whatever, the fact that he was older and was able to do some things a la Muhammad Ali, where you found ways to survive and now think these younger fighters, says a lot about that. We're going to have to pretty much head into this rapid fire round, because I think our time is going to be up here soon. So with that being said, gentlemen, make sure you're timely with your comments. Real quick, we got to also talk about Gary Antuanne Russell. He fought, and we've been waiting on his brother Gary Russell to fight, but he was very impressive. And it sounds like, even though he's very light in far as the record is concerned, with like 14, 15 fights, he could seem like he could be a force or cause some problems at 140. Pardon the pun. John, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, he looked real good. And he called out Broner afterwards, because Broner had a lot of trouble with this same fighter. And we were laughing about that. And that's good that he called out Broner. I mean, he beats Broner. I mean, most people would go, but still call him out. I thought he was impressive. He doesn't fight. He's not nearly as quick as his bigger brother, but who is? But he fights a hell of a lot more than his bigger brother, which is a good thing. I fought like 4 times recently, the year before, and then once now. So I liked it. I was impressed. I thought he's definitely he looked more than a prospect to me. He looked like he's ready to break the top 10, and crack the top 10. So yeah, it was impressive.
Mr. Gordon.
Well, yeah, I'm going to echo what John said, because that's exactly it. I was expecting somebody that was going to be in over his head, because his opponent, whose name is slipping my mind right now, just fought Adrian Broner, and I'm not sure that he won the fight. I'm also not sure that he lost the fight. So let's just leave it at that. So you're thinking, okay, this is a real step up for someone who has fought that much, who doesn't even have his own name. There's Gary Russell Sr., Gary Russell Jr., there's Gary Russell driving the cab on the way to the fight, Gary Russell getting water. I mean, there were Gary Russells all over the place. So what was going to distinguish him from his brother and from anything else? And as I mentioned to John after the fight, or actually during the fight, when you look at, you're comparing apples to apples, which is common opponent is Adrian Broner. Gary Antuanne Russell looked a hell of a lot better than Adrian Broner looked at the guy that he just beat the crap out of. So yeah, the future looks very bright.
No doubt. I think that's huge. The one thing I like about Gary Antuanne Russell is the factor that, unlike his brother, he said, you know what, keep me busy, man. Y'all talk about all this stuff. I'm not even one to be talking about Broner. I'm calling out Broner, calling out Josh Taylor. Might be a little early for that, some people may think. But the guy said, just let me fight somebody, and I show you. And he may have too much confidence. He may lose. But when the guy tells you, just let me fight, I'm like, that's the guy I want to see. I want to see him, because he had so many, well, if I had this belt, and he was right on when he said about it's all about managers, promoters, and fighters just kind of go along. Dude said, keep me busy. I like that's the main thing besides his boxing skills that I liked about him. So as we continue looking at this clock, I want to throw this at you real quick. You guys think about this. We have some fights coming up, but give me some fights that are either coming up or that you want to see, because it seems like we might be getting them because of the way that the crowd is coming back, and guys may be coming out of hiding because they can make money again in the near future. John?
Well, there's always fights. I mean, it's so busy now every weekend. God, when you're like me, you don't even have a life, because Saturday nights are pretty much taken up, always having to watch boxing. I mean, there's even one this Saturday with Daniel Dubois. I want to watch that because his eye was all mangled and the orbital bone was broke, and it's kind of a tough go for the kid here. And then we got Lomachenko coming back here in June. I really want to see that, and I wish I had the schedule in front of me. I know that I'm really curious about Fury and Wilder 3, even though everybody's poo-pooing it. I'm watching Deontay working out with Malik Scott, and Malik Scott's a clever boxer, hell of a guy. I don't know. I don't think Fury ought to be too overconfident. So that's July. Jarrett Hurd is coming back. Shakur is coming, fighting on June 12th, jumping all over the place because I can't remember all the dates anymore, but it's just a lot of busy things. Eddie Hearn said that he wants Calaplant to fight Canelo in July. So Canelo is saying so busy, it's ridiculous for a nowadays fighter. I love that. So, and then Anthony Joshua and Usyk could fight in August. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. And I want to see Joshua and Fury. Of course, that's the one I want to see is the heavyweights. We mentioned Josh Taylor earlier. Josh Taylor might fight Crawford. I like that fight. I do. I like that fight. And then, of course, in August, we've got Errol Spence and the ageless senator, future president of the Philippines, Mr. Manny Pacquiao. So there's a lot of great stuff coming up.
Frank Gordon.
Well, since we're keeping it short and since John has covered everything, ended.
I'm not ending it. We asked you for a reaction.
Not ended, ended. It's a footnote. Okay. All right. Okay. If you've never done a research paper, you know what I just said. Anyhow. All right. The redemption fights are all sound good. You know, Jarrett Hurd coming back. You know, Dan Dubois coming back. All those things sound great and will be very interesting. And I'm looking forward to it. But the one I can't get out of my head, and because of what I just saw this weekend and seeing Donaire come back and do what he did, or not really come back, just continue. I am really intrigued, and I don't know if I would have said this a few weeks ago or even a few months ago. I am waiting breathlessly, or I was going to say wordlessly, but you know better, waiting for Spence Pacquiao. That is going to be, even if it doesn't lead up to the hype in my head, it's just a speculation of it. Because we're really going to have to break down what Errol Spence does, what he does well, because he hasn't really had the opportunity to really show that through an entire fight. You know, he's usually in such an overwhelming state that whoever he fights doesn't get to really fight back. Whereas Pacquiao is going to do things, you know, he could get blasted in a couple of rounds, but more than likely Pacquiao's going to show him more and more and more and more. And Freddie Roach and everything, they're going to have a lot set up for Spence. We're going to see how good Spence really is. Doesn't mean that Pacquiao's good enough to win at this age, but he's going to have to show, Spence is going to have to show how good he is. Because if he doesn't, Pacquiao's going to beat him out of it. But I think Spence is good enough to be able to overcome, but that's going to be the fun of it. And that's speculation that we're going to go through for the next few months. You know, we're going to break down different fights. We're going to look at this, look at that. What do we do? What's he do? What's he do? It's going to be fantastic. That's when it's really on the top of my list.
No doubt. I mean, I think that's major right there. When I think about these fights, though, I see a lot coming up. I hope a lot of it comes through. I want to see, even though we talked about heavyweights, I want to see what Anthony Joshua does. He has the weight. Is he going to risk? Is he going to roll the dice and maybe go to Ugas? You have to fight a Ugas or somebody like that to see at that weight to see John if why he waits to see the outcome of the bigger fights. You know, that I really want to see that, because if he takes a chance and loses, it's like, are you worthy? I mean, they've been putting him up there before. Is he worthy? Maybe you need to sit back, chill for a little bit, or take somebody that you know you can beat and wait on for this to unravel. Because if he loses and this trilogy, comes out, whoever wins, he's supposed to be the next guy. You take a loss, bro. I'm just wondering what you think about that.
How about Joshua, right? Well,
Yes,
and Usyk.
Yeah, Usyk. Yeah.
Based on how Usyk struggled against Chisora, I would think he's really not a heavyweight in the sense yet. Joshua should be able to overpower him, should be able to beat him, unless he gets clipped. And there's always that question with Joshua. He should be stronger, but it is a risky fight, no doubt. I mean, if he was to lose and Fury wins as expected, they got it all set up, and then Joshua loses, then right, there goes the big fight in essence. There goes Fury Joshua in a sense, unless they just ignore that he lost. And sometimes they do that in boxing. That's okay. That didn't count. We just have the fight anyway. That's possible with Eddie Hearn. But I think Joshua can beat Usyk. But again, I'm going on the last fight where Chisora, who's basically a journeyman, but tough as nails, gave Usyk hell. And his boxing ability and his technique got him through it. I just think that Joshua's better than Chisora. He's younger. He's a little faster. If he gets Usyk cornered, he might knock him out, But again, yeah, it's a risk. But Joshua's got to fight. It was just like we were talking about Gary Antuanne Russell. He's fighting, and I like that. That isn't overconfidence. That's a guy who just wants to fight. I like that. Stay active. Joshua's got to fight somebody. So if it's not Usyk, he's probably going to get stripped of his belt, and he doesn't want to be stripped of his belt. So he's kind of backed in a corner right now. Nothing official, but from what I understand, the negotiations are going well. So it's looking like it could be Joshua and Usyk in August.
That's cool with Usyk, definitely. Thank you for the correction.
I get the names wrong all the time.
No doubt. We're trying to do our best over here, minus producers, lights, all kind of stuff. Anyway,
all behind the scenes.
Yeah, right. So, Mr. Gordon, let's do this real quick. Give me 2 to 3 fighters right now that are must see for you in the future. Guys you want to see fight, and for whatever reason. Still there, Mr. Gordon?
Yeah. Yep.
You hear me? 2 to 3 fighters
Yep.
that you want to see in the upcoming future for whatever reason, just to kind of see how they develop or they come back.
Well, first let me say this host crap isn't as easy as it looks, is it?
It is what it is. I don't have a fancy background or whatever, but you know what? I'm gonna get it done. That's what
I have no
baby.
foreground. So, okay. Again, we're looking at a nice grouping of people, and usually it's from that 130 to 147. Let's see these guys get after it. So it's not necessarily one guy that I want to see fight. It's one guy I want to see fight somebody else. So those are the kind of things I'm looking at there. But let's look at the upper one. I want to see where Benavidez goes or what he can do, because there's a guy that looks like he should really be able to do some damage and put himself in the mix of all of that, the Charlo, Andre, Canelo, Triple G. He should be able to put himself in that mix. But again, we had the problem with him making weight the one fight, and how does he bounce back from that? What does he do to be able to put himself in that category of that elite mixture? Because it looks like he should be, but he's got to do it. Someone that doesn't get a lot of play right now, but could be there, and I don't know where he's going to end up as far as weight, Sebastian Findora. Because there's a guy that's just in the Spider-Man thing. We're talking Tommy Hearns. We're talking a guy who's, 6'5", 6'6", fighting at, 104, something like that. It's insane what he can do. And he's busy and fights on the inside. And I know Charles is going to say, didn't you say that about Paul Williams at one time? Yes, I said it about Paul Williams. But it's still the same kind of idea of, can this guy be able to do what it looks like he can do and move up? Now, it's easy to look good against somebody when you're a foot taller than them and they're not a great fighter. What can you do against a great fighter? So there's 2 of them. And then I want to see and I really want to see what we get from Lomachenko. Do we get Lomachenko that we had before, as exposed? I want to see what he's going to do. Is he still hungry? Has he achieved all he wants to achieve? And I mean, he's coming back, so he must want to keep fighting. Those are three of the guys off the top of my head that I want to see what they bring to the table. Now, again, to answer that question about another 17 guys, but those are the three that's top of my head that I want to see where they go and what.
Okay, no doubt. Well, it would only be fair. I cannot jump over that question and not let John have his rebuttal. Go ahead, John.
He stole my thunder. Really the guy that I'm really curious about is that Frank. He's a sneaky guy.
Always controlling despite he's not hosting, right?
That's right. He's hanging in the shadows this time, and he's kind of trolling us, right? Yeah. No, Lomachenko, I'm really curious. That's why he stole my thunder. I really want to see that. I'm fascinated to see what Lomachenko, I think he's still hungry. I think he's got too much pride after that last fight. He's going to try to give his best performance, but we don't know. He might be starting to go down. So we'll definitely see that on June 26th. And then the other two guys, again, I'm copying Frank. I'm just a copycat. I really intrigued. Well, I'm just intrigued by Fury and Wilder, as you know, a lot. But I'm also very intrigued by what Errol Spence brings against Manny Pacquiao. What Manny Pacquiao can bring 2 years later after not fighting at 42 years old. What's he got? I bet he's still got a lot. That's that. I'll say that right now. He's still got a lot. He wouldn't be taking that fight, and he's taking it because I think he believes that Errol Spence isn't the same guy pre-automobile accident. So that's the thing we got to talk about. Yeah, but those three guys, there's a lot more that I really look forward to watching. But Lomachenko right now, he's the number one in my book too, because he's coming off a loss, and he's a strong guy mentally, but we'll see. If he struggles on June 26th, then we're going to know, even though the guy's fighting is pretty good, we're going to know, well, wasn't really an anomaly what happened against Lopez. He's just starting that slow downhill road. He's on a downhill road, but we'll see. I doubt it.
Yeah. It's interesting because one of the guys I want to see, because things are happening above him, and I know he's chomping at the bit, trying to get up and do some things because he's like, hell, I'm ready to show everybody I'm ready too, but he doesn't want to rush it. That's Shakur Stevenson. I'm waiting for him. I am so ready for him to kind of start to weed out some things, get a little bigger. Don't know how long that's going to take, but definitely looking forward to see what he can do in the near future. Another one, just because of the way that he's been talking and seeing where he's at and everybody else talking about him, I want to see Devin Haney, man. Is he the truth? He keeps showing me each time, yeah, I'm a little better maybe than you think, Mr. Farmer, but I want to see it because now he's starting to think about going into deeper waters, and I like that. I want to see what he's going to do. And, if you keep talking the talk, and you keep walking it, you got to give him love. So I just want to see how his career continues forward. One other out of the, not as much as I want to see Pacquiao Spence, come on, bud. I want to see what's going on with Terrence Crawford, man. Because what's next? Are you going to re-sign with Top Rank? Is that right? Or are you going to do something else so you can get a real fight? We know the fight you want. Are you going to fight Sean Porter? We've been talking about that forever. Who are you going to fight next? Are you going to fight Josh Taylor? Whatever you want to do. I think, to me, it's very intriguing because I'm sure he's at home going, what the, you know what I'm saying? He has to be like, man, you told me. And he's like, man, I'm just done. It's one of those things you just want to go off by yourself because anybody else is around you at this point, you don't feel good. You might punch him in the face. So you have to go out by yourself. He probably taking a walk in wilderness right now. And last but not least, as I talk about this, somebody else I want to see just for kicks and the showman that he is and just get people riled up. You don't want to hear it, but damn it, I want to see Floyd fight this weekend. I just want to see it because
I was going to ask that.
Everybody is like saying, I can't stand him. He's washed up. But Floyd is making your ass watch. That's what I know. You can say what you want to about Mike Tyson. Floyd Mayweather is he and his team, to me, are the ultimate Barnum and Bailey, aka a showman, right? P.T. Barnum, the modern day P.T. Barnum. They're like, boom. So you don't want to watch. Watch this. He gonna knock my hat. I'm gonna knock my hat off. I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna kill the brother, and then I'm gonna kill him afterwards and make more money. And I guarantee you gonna watch. So I want to see that because you say you ain't watching, but damn it, I know you're gonna watch. Any thoughts on that real quick, John?
Well, you know how I feel about these exhibitions. I mean, I don't hold it against any guy like Floyd Mayweather, whatever, doing this. That's his right to make as much money as he can. It's just a big show to me. It's a big circus. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of that with boxing. You know, I don't hold that against. If people are moaning and groaning, this is going to hurt Floyd Mayweather's legacy. I don't buy that at all. I don't think this is going to hurt his legacy. People know it's an exhibition. They've done a great job of building it up. I will give them that. Ripping his hat off like that. I mean, he legitimately looked annoyed when he ripped his hat off when he was a kid. I'm not used to Floyd having hair, and I mean that's his blowing. It's like, is that Floyd Mayweather? What's that? So I think it's probably going to be like a Conor McGregor thing. He'll just carry him for a few rounds, and then when he decides that, say that's it, just so people feel like they got their money's worth. But this Logan Paul guy say he's going to shock the world. So that's what's making it kind of intriguing. I mean, you know, it's 1,000,001, but there is that one. So if I'm Logan Paul, I'm thinking I'm going to be throwing everything I got at him until he gets me, which it probably could be, like we said, pretty quick. But you never know. You never know. So he's 44 years old, but that would hurt Floyd Mayweather, even if he got beat by this kid.
Oh my God!
One fight. Who's 0-1, that would be terrible. So you know Floyd's probably going, I'll risk this for God. How much money is he making? So it's but I won't be watching, Charles. I'll have to get your ringside report. I won't be watching.
I understand. I can't help it, John. It's one of those things. Frank Gordon, will you be watching?
Well, what you don't see with me not having free was about 2,000 I rolled. So the idea being that watchable, I agree with. Is it going to be a prize fight? No. Is it Well, it's going to be a prize fight because there's money being, but it is going to be watchable because it's going to be entertaining. Is it going to be a pugilistic endeavor? But it's Floyd Mayweather. He has put himself in a situation repeatedly to get us to either care about him or to care about not caring.
Right.
And you've taken one side or another, and some at different occasions. Sometimes you care, sometimes you don't. But this is going to be something that's going to get a lot of money made after it or off of it. It's going to be something that's going to be interesting to the people that buy it. And at the end, let's just put it this way. A 44-year-old Floyd Mayweather is not going to lose to someone who was 0-1. That's not. So that's the serious journalist part of it. The fun part is, man, it's going to be a circus. It's going to be.
No doubt. It will be a circus.
He's going to toy with him. He's going to let him feel like he's doing something. Mm-hmm. We're going to see that he's overmatched. Logan Paul is overmatched after a while. Then it'll end by 7 or 8. But it is going to be entertaining. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but if it happens to appear in front of my screen, I'm not going to turn it off.
No doubt. Floyd is the ultimate showman. I always said that, man. That's what I like about him. Yeah. He, when you say no, he said, wait a minute, I'm going to show you something else. He's like, I can't stand him, but here's my money or I'm going to tune in. John, I appreciate the fact that you are not going to watch. That man, that you are a man with willpower. I'm not mad at that. I appreciate your integrity, but so many others will be watching. One last thing I want to throw in there real quick before we end this. Got the chance to watch one of my favorite people in the ring and being close to boxing again. Richard Schaefer was at the Donaire fight and was in the ring with him. So that's encouraging. Also, to the fact that Richard Schaefer signed an agreement with the champion, UFC champion, John Jones, to kind of represent him in regards to his fights, which is really going to help him with Dana White in the UFC get his money. The guy is amazing. I said it before. I never met him, but just seemed cool as hell. And if he can take over your business when you're going through some issues like Oscar De La Hoya was, you got to give him kudos. I think he's very good for boxing. I think they need to recognize that. and find a place for that dude, because he's a guy that will put some fights together. He'll cut out all of the BS and whatever. And I think they need to find a spot for him, because I think right now he's a guy that boxing really needs, because he's an organizer. He's been around the best. He's helped organize some of the best fights. He knows the damn game. Now it's time for him to kind of take a little leadership role and show some of these other folks how to get this done. I would love to sit down with him and talk, John. So we need to still work on that, see if we can get that dude in and just kind of pick his brain. I think that'd be great for Real Boxing Talk. With all that being said, we made it, baby, under the deadline, damn it. It may not be as smooth as Mr. Gordon and his little lovely, illustrious backgrounds and all that other stuff that he does. But you know what? We on time, baby, for sure.
That's right.
I want to thank John, as always, the illustrious behind the scenes, Frank Gordon, literally this time, for joining us on Real Boxing Talk. Stay tuned for the next one. Frank Gordon, you got any parting shots or parting words as we go out? Frank Gordon?
Well, it's always fun when I get to be the guest on the show. Yes. It's always fun when I get to be the guest on the show instead of the host on it. Because it's not that it's different, but it is that it's different. Because for one thing, I don't have to listen to what you guys actually say. I just talk, which is a lot of fun. Just kidding.
Jeez. He's mean, Charles. He's mean.
Hey, you know what? You lucky you had a damn show this week.
I'm a nice host. I'm a mean guy.
You lucky you had the show this week while you playing. Shit was almost canceled. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oops. Go ahead, John.
Yes, I want to thank you guys for picking up.
Hello? Is your mic go out too?
Yeah.
You got a lot of issues over there.
Got a lot of issues.
So we want to thank you, Frank Gordon. We heard you, what you said. We appreciate you too. Let's go to John. John, any last words or parting shots?
Well, I'm listening to what Frank was saying. I guess I'm going to have to host a show one of these days just to give him a chance to be another mean Frank Gordon down. You know, next time maybe we'll see him. You know, that'll be nice. But you know, this was considering where we were an hour and a half ago, where I was sitting there watching the hourglass going. Charles, great job, my man.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
trying to be a part of the team, brother. Trying to get it done, because you got to keep it rolling one way or another. May not be perfect, but it's going to be out there.
Oh yeah.
So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for watching, tuning in, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow Mr. Gordon, Real Boxing Talk, Ultimate Sports Network. He has a lot of stuff going on. John is doing this thing, writing a lot of books. I'm telling you what, real talk. John is making things happen. I love reading his commentaries. His books are amazing. We're lucky to have him. I think collectively, we're making things happen. You really want to find out some knowledge about somebody who knows a little bit about boxing? Need to tune in to Real Boxing Talk. Making it pop. I'm just a dude, man. I'm just a dude. That's all. But check me out, though. Again, thank you for tuning in. Until the next time, peace.